Hello, Drake Hawk is Musically Optimistic here, and today I am reviewing this Throne album, BILE JAZZ. This is the second full-length album from underground hip-hop duo Throne, and comes months after their debut, Lionfish. A record that didn't really blow me away upon first listen, as what they were doing didn't really strike me as all too distinct. I felt that the bare-bones instrumentals, dime a dozen flows, and nondescript vocal performances, primarily from the male vocalists, while perfectly fine in a vacuum, were a bit underwhelming in the grander scheme of things. For instance, there were lyrical highlights and a sort of topical focus that is commendable for an artist of their relative obscurity. But with the tracks being mostly uniformly structured for the 20 songs it runs for, it could be a bit draining as an album experience. And so, after the mixed bag of a record their collective put out, Neapolis, I was a little bit hesitant to listen to this record. Throne did have one of the highlights in Neapolis with Soul Crayola, but I couldn't help but thinking, will this record have the consistency I felt Lionfish lacked? Thankfully so, I feel the answer to that is yes. The songwriting is a lot more focused than narrative driven, and the way that the album flows from track to track really helps to reinforce how much effort is put into this project. From the very start, just by looking at this project on streaming services, you can see two things that differentiate it from Lionfish. For one, the songs are short. Very short. Sans the outro, nothing really hits the 2-minute mark, with some tracks even being like 50 seconds and change. The brevity of this record is certainly a factor that makes the whole 22-minute experience fly by. The second thing you'll notice is that this is technically not a solo Throne project, it's also a collaborative project with producer Kills. And I'm not gonna lie and say that I knew who this guy was before reviewing this, I really didn't. But going through their back catalog of their other instrumental projects and stuff, it seems like this isn't really too far out of his wheelhouse. The sorts of soul chops you'd expect to be on a Throne or underground hip-hop record is here, but with Kill's sort of touch that really blows out the samples and really makes them feel as wide and grandiose as possible. Like, it's not the most unique thing in the world, but it really is a nice, interesting change of pace and really helps to separate it from Lionfish. But that praise for the instrumental backdrop wouldn't really mean much of anything if the artists on these actual instrumentals didn't provide much good performances, but I believe that they provide their best performances on this album. Starting with the intro track BILE JAZZ, it's clear that the rapper is speaking to someone in particular. He's speaking to someone very dear to him and clearly wants them to be in a better mental state overall. Your past memories haunting your current dreams. Come walk with me. I'ma show you how to reconcile, how to grow a tree in bile, how to flow through pain like my ancestors who came out the Nile. Using past shared generational trauma to help reinforce that you know what they're going through and that you're in this together. It's pretty good. We get a continuation of Heritage and him exploring his roots on the story of Lizam, which is over a gentle, relaxed trap beat that honestly sounds like it could score a Legend of Zelda game. And this track is pretty much where I can say that you get a pretty good idea of what this album is going to be. And that is that it's not really much of a Throne record, it's more of this guy's solo record. Like, the girl is on this album, on a few tracks, and they do share one single track together. However, for the most part, it's kind of like the speaker box in Love Below, except we don't get the Love Below half of it. That being said, it's still pretty good, and I feel like his vocal performances are much more distinct than they were on Lionfish. His writing is much more top-notch, much more topical, and his vocal presence is actually there. It doesn't sound like he's ripping J. Cole or something, and hell, even on the track Stoltz, it sounds like he's mad that anyone would even say that he sounds like someone else. What I gotta do to prove I'm who I sound like? You ain't shit, boy, go and get your bars right. Which is fair, self-confidence, especially in music, is very important. However, I feel like it's weird that this dude waited until like this project to focus on something focus on something lyrically, focus on something instrumentally, just actually focus on something, because on Lionfish it was so abstract and bare bones to the point where it's kind of hard to listen to. However, on here, the topical focus is there, the lyrical focus is there, the instrumental focus is there, and the vocal presence is certainly there. One of my favorite tracks from him in this project is Eastern Warpath. After a lengthy vocal snippet, of which there are plenty on this record because it's kind of narrative driven, he goes off on one of the haziest rap beats thus far about the authenticity in hip-hop, and how he says he's riding a wave he claims to be building. Another dose of braggadocio over one of the best instrumentals on this project that I prefer the performance and production of rather than lyrically. Now, to talk about highlights for the girl's part, there's not really a whole lot considering she's on like, what, 3-4 tracks? Including the great collaboration between them, Goodwill Hunting. But the one main highlight from her is Decree of Trust, which kind of feels like a 2000s pop song, but instead of there being trash MIDI horns and like terrible mixing, it's replaced with some gorgeous blown out soul samples, and it's honestly The album closes out by concluding the loose narrative of pain and discovery told through the vocal snippets on Isaac Decides to Live, and then closes out with the longest track of the project at 3:32 with All Around You Is Really Over. I really appreciate the positive and uplifting finish to the record, detailing how the past is the past and really all you can do is move forward from the generational trauma that surrounds you. The instrumental on it is one of the most abstract and haziest on the record too, and the haunting melodies really emphasize and drive home the closing refrain of All Around You Is Real and the pain that we feel. Certainly a fantastic way to close out this record, and it is quite satisfying to have the final track be the most fully formed song that is here. Overall, BILE JAZZ is one hell of an improvement from Lionfish, and if they continue going in this trajectory, I really hope and look forward to what they do next. However, next time I would say that I would like more stuff from the singer, because maybe we get a solo record from her next. Maybe they collaborate more. I don't know. Anyway, I'm feeling a 7 to a 7+ on this. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Bye.